Welcome to Deep Thought. Culture affects human mating. Now, on my regular men's channel, I actually touched on this. And, it's something to think about on a deeper level. Because, of course, you have some people thinking, oh, it's pure biological, but we don't mate like animals. Think about something. We don't mate. Yeah, we might find somebody attractive. But when we thinking about actually mating, even for fun, even like, just for pleasure, sex, we're thinking about how they fit into our culture, even if we're not consciously aware of that. And especially if we're looking for a relationship, say, because I talked about religion yesterday. Most people try to mate within their religious or spiritual path. Most people, of course, there's some people who cross over and everything, and you have that, and that's cool. But let's be real with it. Let's just be honest. Most people, they're going to mate. If someone is Jewish, they typically are going to mate with someone Jewish. In fact, I've known some Jewish women, and they would only deal with a man who was Jewish. Yeah, they might have some fun with a non-Jewish, but when they were ready to marry someone Jewish, many Christians, hey, if you're not worshiping your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, they don't even want to deal with you and stuff. And that's in different groups. One of the things I could get deeper into is just my observations of different spiritual paths. That's part of my cultural thing to study. And remember, I said that's a part of culture. But then I used the religion example, but let's think about the economic thing. Most people stay within their particular social class. Really, they don't go out of it. And if you look at social classes directly, you'll see that it really is a situation where they each have their own culture. See, when we talk about relationships, we're talking about relate. See, to even get to the point of procreation, even quote unquote accidental procreation, the two people have to relate to each other. Yeah, it's one thing to be physically attracted, but then what are you going to talk about? What are the protocols? If you follow in a spiritual path that says, hey, no sex before marriage, it might be a while before y'all have it anyway, that somebody want to go against that. And many people still don't, especially in some countries and everything. And we ain't going to get into what happens in the shadow world. It's a shadow for a reason. But when you think about who has children and everything, it's basically based on what the cultural things are. Like, let's be real. Even though on my men's channel, I say, hey, guys, don't trick and everything. Money plays a part in relationships. Come on. Even if a woman is not taking it directly, if you're talking about a long-term thing, you got to think about it. You got to think about, okay, where are you going to hang at? Or like, how you going to live your life? Both parents, you might have one parent who came from a culture of private schools, elite colleges and stuff. That's a cultural thing, to even want all of those things and to live a certain way and to live in a certain place. But what if the other person came from where, they weren't elite. They just went to like shoddy public schools and stuff, didn't go to college. How are they going to get together? Oh, they might find each other physically attractive and stuff. Still, it's not going to happen. And see, if you look at that on an even larger scale, right, you still thinking about in terms of what is the culture of a particular place? What is the culture of a country? What is the culture of a region? It really affects pretty much who goes into the future. See, understand something. One thing that women have a sacred duty of, they actually decide whose genes are going into the future. They actually decide. It's just a reality because they have to make a conscious decision who they're going to mate with. And indeed, culture plays such a big part in relationships. When people want to say, well, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why are people behaving like this? Look at the culture. So it says what type of men, what kind of traits they're going to have that's going to go into the future. What type of traits, what men are mated with. What if the style or the man held up as cultural isn't isn't, that good citizen and stuff? What if it's that, like, I don't know, that superstar type of guy, that money type of guy? Or, what if it's like, oh, yeah, that social media superstar or something like that? And I'm serious, it can get that deep. It can get that deep. And I'm going to tell you why I actually started thinking about stuff like that, ironically, from a science fiction show, Star Trek. Now, anybody who watches Star Trek, which really it got a lot of deep stuff in it. If you get past certain things, plot lines and all of that, they always comment on what's going on. And indeed, that's good writing anyway. Any good storytelling always comments on what's going on, but in a different way. But I was thinking about like two prominent races on Star Trek, the Romulans and the Vulcans. Now, for those who know the story, the Romulans and Vulcans are actually the same species, just different tribes. Now, one is very logical, very peaceful. The other one, they're passionate and everything. That's a cultural thing, biologically the same. But then the culture, one was following a culture of logic. The other was following a culture of warriors, So it's like, and if anybody watching know, they'll make them slightly look different because it's that deep. Like say in this culture, say gluttony becomes a big thing. In fact, I use an example, Mauritania. Women with weight on them is actually promoted in that culture. Whereas maybe someplace in the West, the women have to try to lose all that weight, be super slim and all of that. But that's a different thing. So it's like, one, it's like, hey, you can have that weight on you and stuff. Shoot, in the South Pacific Islands and stuff, they tend to be weightier in many countries. But then other countries more slimmer and everything. That's a result of culture, not purely biology. Because someone's biology would need to match the culture and be considered culturally desirable for them to go any further. And it's deep when you think about it. It's deep when you think about it because you can't get past culture. Yeah, you have your raw material, but it's the culture that says how you use that material. Who goes forward, whose genes go forward, Hey, it's something to think about. It's something to really think about. And I would always say this, like, and I thought about this with regard to relationships. If people really want to change what's going on, the answer is very simple. Change the culture. I want y'all to think about that, okay? So anyway, that's all I have for now. Get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.